Welcome to the Friendly Geordies podcast, Shawarma FM.
Hello.
How are you doing, Miss Love?
Pretty good. Just tired. Working man life. Just tired all the time.
What an amazing time to receive a text. Can I start again?
No.
Okay.
Do not leave the office. Can you imagine that's the text?
Yeah. How are you feeling, man?
Look, I'm okay. I think my obviously with the terror attack, still very shocked and everything, but it feels like what do you call it? More, when something tragic happens, it's almost like you don't feel like you're part of. I at least don't. You almost don't feel like you're part of a community. You feel like it's just like this singular thing. Now I'm starting to realize it's like, okay, like I'm not the only person that saw this or something. It's probably some dumb irrational way of viewing it. But now I'm like, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
No, not really.
well, there's like Albo's done a speech. I watched that.
Yeah.
Did you know we have a police commissioner?
Yes, I do.
Well, we do, yeah. And he did a speech, and Mins, and I saw that they visited. I haven't been on the internet. I haven't had much time to, but I've just caught snippets from my phone, lunch break and stuff, and I saw that Mins and Albo both visited the fellow who tackled the guy, which I thought was great.
Well, actually, the one thing that I want to bring up is we discovered, and I feel like this should also get some attention, is we found a new couple.
Mention
the
this
hero couple.
I don't know about that. You'll have to mention it.
So there's a video that came out. It's actually interesting how the video surfaced. So the video was from a dash cam footage of an old couple wrestling the terrorist and taking the gun, very similar to what happened with Ahmed Al-Ahmed, which, by the way, he's a tobacconist and not a fruit seller. Anyway, so this video emerged, and the video emerged in the most bizarre way possible, which is that whoever recorded it, no one recorded it. It was dash cam footage, which was uploaded onto Chinese social media. So I'm guessing whoever's car that was Chinese.
Yeah, right.
It was picked up from Chinese social media onto ours.
Yeah.
And we discovered that two of the people that were killed that day actually attempted to take the gun, successfully did it. And
they took the gun off him?
They took the gun.
What?
And unfortunately, because the video was very brief, you don't know what happened, but they unfortunately were also murdered.
Jesus Christ.
But this couple, Miss Love, need to be I think they're a Russian Jewish couple, but they need to be recognized because they weren't young.
Right.
When they went into that confrontation, they would have known that this would be the end, and they still did it. Because I'm not saying like everyone's a hero in such a situation, but when you know that it's imminent versus I might be able to get out of it, I might not be able to get out of it.
Like that, you're saying that they probably logically were like, where we might not, or we will not be able to actually. There's a chance.
And it was a sweet old couple, like.
God damn.
The stereotypical kind of powerless kind, just like.
Like how old are we talking?
70s.
Fuck.
Older, like late 70s, perhaps.
Jesus.
Like a very obviously a retiree sort of a couple, like a caravan type couple.
Damn. Jesus.
And they went, oh my God, yeah. So as we get more information, we figure out that there's a lot more heroes out there.
And there might be more, right?
Yeah, of course, because there's a lot of things happen, different sort of footage is being analyzed. A lot of it is part of the investigation, so I don't know exactly how much is being released to the public.
As we were saying before, I mean, that's amazing. As we were saying before, I wish one of them just shot the guy, but again, you can't.
Because Miss Love and I were discussing, and we were just looking at all of that footage and just thinking, man, if just someone had just shot.
Yeah, but it's so easy in hindsight to be like, just pretend you were playing Counter-Strike. Easier said than done. Easier said than done.
None of these people were killers. They were just
exactly. And
people,
I mean, Jesus, could we have done that? Could any? It's so. easy in hindsight to, be like, well, this would have been ideal.
Yeah,
That's not life.
I mean, then we both had that idea of like, oh, well, maybe you could have just shot the foot or something, so you
it would have been
them.
good in the leg, like right here. But Jesus
all of
Christ!
these are
I mean, like,
hindsight.
and you can imagine the psychological impact of being in that situation. Like, a million thoughts would probably run through your head. Like. These people weren't
most likely you'd be running the other way, most likely.
I'd like to think I wouldn't. I'd like to think, but maybe I don't know. Maybe you wouldn't either. Maybe, who knows?
I think no one really knows. I think I remember reading this psychological assessment.
It is.
Which is about a similar sort of position. So the probability of someone becoming a hero in that. So like the example that they use is, robbers come in with like guns, kind of like American Heist kind of thing.
Yeah.
Start pointing guns at everyone. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And in that moment, the person that has the thought of like, oh, I'm going to wrestle this or become a hero versus I'm going to like just try to hide myself or run away, or versus just be freezing and doing nothing. There's like a whole different range of things that can happen. But whatever the outcome would be of you in that situation, that has very little relation to what your personality was before you were put in that position. So, for example, people that are like super confident, seem alpha.
It's irrelevant.
It's completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
In that situation, the most unlikely candidates rise up, and they're shocked too. Like if you had asked them before that, would you have done it? And they're like, I don't know. It just something came over me and I did this.
It's almost like I think it is a fight or flight response. Yeah. And I mean, those are the two options. And like, what determines how one acts, I don't know. I'm not a neural scientist or whatever, but like, I mean, I know that like, it's happened where like when a mother's child is in danger, they get like superhuman strength, or, they get, what I mean? Like I think there's been situations where like they've like lifted cars to save their child.
I don't know if has that happened?
I think so.
I mean, I understand the sentiment, but I don't know if like,
I don't know. I heard that, maybe
you can become
bullshit.
the Hulk, but
probably not the Hulk, but like, that in itself is a fascinating subject. It's like how people react in those situations. I mean, the adrenaline rush is a powerful drug, but then it's kind of, how do you utilize that? Do you fight or flight? And that's a mix of like animalistic chemical reactions and your logical brain. You kind of have to use that through your logical brain, and it takes a strong person. I mean, it's probably someone with, I would imagine, like a high morale. I don't know, man. Maybe, who knows? I don't know.
It's interesting. I remember watching a podcast.
But God bless them, and God bless the other guy.
Absolutely.
Like, it's insane.
It's just because like the news cycle sort of went past. Like there's so many stories that need to be highlighted just as much as the initial ones. But I was watching this podcast ages ago. I can't remember. Maybe it was Joe Rogan. But this American veteran was on it, and he fought in Afghanistan. Yeah. And he was giving this, he was recounting a story of his where he got surrounded by like 15 Taliban. He didn't have any info. Anyways, like it was certain death was the outcome of that situation. He had one more person with him who had just died. He was like in an open area.
Jesus.
There was like, anyways, like he was saying like there was no way I could have survived that. And so I think whoever was interviewing asked him like, okay, so how did you react in that situation? He's like, I have no idea how I reacted. He's like, it was all adrenaline. I wasn't making any decisions. I was on completely autopilot, which is interesting coming from like a trained killer, if you think about it that way.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, I think obviously like if you are trained in these kind of SAS, soldier, whatever you want to call it, these combat situations, obviously people are trained to react, or they're molded to react a certain way. But you're saying he was like...
said what comes after that is so he's saying I wasn't making any decisions at that point, like my adrenaline was max, but what he's saying what ended up happening was, in hindsight when I look at it, is I actually went back to my training immediately.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought.
He's saying even though I didn't make a conscious decision, and he was saying
it was
like
instinct.
It's insane that I went back to literally my boring training
it's almost,
that I went through.
It's almost muscle memory.
It's like being in a high adrenaline situation, and someone starts remembering, okay, calculus at that point.
It's kind of like driving, right? You're not constantly conscious of put my foot on the accelerator. It's kind of second nature.
Yeah.
So, and what happened?
And he got out of it. Well, eventually he got reinforcements, but like it was very unlikely he survived. And so he was saying like that was insane that I went back to my training and I somehow managed to get out.
Yeah.
And a similar example is given by like sports people. So like a batsman or someone who's playing, if you ask them, like, let's say a batsman scored 100 runs. It was like, oh, what was your decision making like?
So we're not talking about England.
We're not talking about England. We shall eventually. Let's do that as well. So like, how did you come up with this decision of like whether to flicking it behind you or hitting it, And often they say like, I'm not making any decisions when I'm playing.
Yeah.
All my decisions are made during practice.
Yes.
So when I'm practicing, I'm like, okay, I need to hit this over here.
Yeah.
And I'm consciously trying to do that or like a different shot. But when I'm playing, they're saying like the best way to do it at that point is to have fun. And if you've been practicing, then all the right things will come along. Anyway, so I think trained individuals react in this method where they can rely on their training. Yeah, as average people, you never know.
I kind of see that even from like playing soccer, because I play with some people that are really good, and it's like you can see that most of the players that are really exceptional, there is a level, because you have to still analyze a situation. You get a ball, you analyze, because things you have to analyze who's where and what's going on. But it's like it's almost like you can analyze your decision. What decisions are the right ones to make? Those are already preordained. So it's kind of like, okay, if he's here, I know what to do. If he's here, I know what to do. If he's here, I know what to do. If there's no one here, I know what to do. It's like you have options. It's kind of like the difference between like going into a situation where you know nothing and a going situation like I have 4 pathways, and that's 1 out of 4 chances, not 1 out of infinite chances. So it's sort of like, and then so it's just probability. And then if you're executing one of those 4, your chances are way higher that you're going to perform well. And a lot of that is autopilot because you know that. And talking to some of them in soccer too, it's crazy. Like there's one guy I play with is like really, really good, and he'll say stuff like, he'll give me advice, and I'll be like, man, I just couldn't get around you. And then he was like, well, I'm left-footed. And he's like, so you should always know that so for me, his right, opposite, is going to be dominant. So you should never let me get the ball on that side because this side's weaker. And then I was like, how do you determine that when someone has the ball? And he's like, I look at their hips. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, if you see someone's hip positioning, you know exactly where they're going. I'm like, dude, you're blowing my mind here. You're looking at people's hips.
Sorry, it's out of topic, but you should watch this old video of Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Castrol. It's from like mid 2000 or something. One of the early videos that came out. But it was just like using like complex cameras in its really early stages to see how Cristiano Ronaldo reacts in a soccer match versus, let's say, a standard soccer player. And so they had put like, so it was from Cristiano Ronaldo's viewpoint. And so you could really see, anyways, you should watch it because it's really mad interesting.
Yeah.
But what you can notice is immediately that Cristiano Ronaldo is like ahead of everyone else. So when a normal player is looking, he's always looking at the ball. When it's moving, he's chasing the ball. Whereas like you can see Cristiano Ronaldo is like looking at the ball, but like mostly looking at the body of the person.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
And so you're like, what's going on? And he is one step ahead.
Yeah.
And you're like,
exactly.
So, whatever. Anyways, you should watch that video. It's really interesting.
It's like that stuff is fascinating. And also another thing I learned, I don't know, it's just whatever, right? This is the only thing I can think of. This is like soccer. Yeah. But like they were saying how like once, it's all mastering certain skills. So the more skills that are on autopilot, the better. And one guy was telling me like my problem is I'm looking down too much at the ball because I'm controlling the ball. You have to look at it. But the thing is, if you have a certain ability, a certain level of being able to control the ball with your feet without having to look at the ball all the time. So you're like, I kind of know where it is, like I've even training, you're kicking the ball around, not looking at it all the time, just maybe dribbling on your own. then you have this massive advantage of looking at the field and seeing the players you can pass to. Because if you're just looking down, then that's time wasted looking up. And if you're looking up, you can analyze the field and what your options are. So quite often my mate's just like, you're looking down too much, because then you're like, okay, now I have like 2 seconds to scan the field as opposed to like 5 seconds. This is like massive difference. That's why there's players that are amazing. They're not looking at the ball. They're just like, doom, boom, that person, boom, that person. And it's like, so it's like mastering, and you could say the same for like an instrument. You know, if you have the fundamentals down, you don't need to be like, you know, I can play chords, a lot of chords without looking, because I've practiced the shit out of them. So I don't have to be like, yeah, see. I can just go, gank.
Speaking of soccer, did you see what happened to Messi in India?
Nah. Messi? When?
The player.
No?
Oh. So
right.
There's a
yeah.
lot of things that obviously we haven't been paying attention to, but one of the things that happened
He's like the best footballer in the world.
Yeah, Messi. Well, I mean,
Considered.
They're all really old now, so the best football players are like young anyways. But anyways, there's like this competition between Ronaldo and Messi, and like, you know, it's a huge debate whether who's the best. But I think it's generally expected that Messi is the best one.
Is Ronaldo retired anyway?
They're playing for, so Ronaldo's playing for Saudi Arabia, which essentially is like the retirement league.
Yeah.
And Messi is playing for Miami.
So he's not in Argentina anymore. Is he Argentinian?
Yeah, he's Argentinian.
Oh, so he's also, they're chilling.
No. So he is born in Argentina, but he has lived most of his life in Spain.
All right.
So by all practical purposes, he's Spanish.
So he's playing in America?
Well, right now he's playing in America, but he played for Barcelona pretty much his entire life. Yeah, but anyways, they're both really old and retired.
No, it's the same thing Beckham did. It's like LA stars.
Yeah, exactly,
like,
exactly. And just like Beckham, Messi did the same thing, which is like, I'll play for your league if I get ownership in the team.
Right.
So that's
wow.
They're too expensive to just buy as players. And they've got too much money to like, you know, go to US. Yeah. And Messi basically can't speak English, so Miami was a good option for him. Because he only speaks Spanish.
Oh, right.
And he was never interested. You know, all these players, they go to England. Yeah. At some point in their life, and you inadvertently learn shitty English. Yeah. Messi just was like, I'm not interested.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So he never played for any English teams.
No. He's only played for Barcelona.
Interesting.
He's played for Argentina, his national team.
Well, I mean, World Cup, right?
Yeah, World Cup. Yeah. But he, by all intents and purposes, he's Spanish. He's kind of like Argentinian, how I would be Pakistan.
Yeah. Gotcha. So like
he plays for Argentina just because Argentina's like play for us.
Yeah. He was born there.
He was born there.
Yeah.
But when he was a child, he moved to Spain.
Cool.
But anyway, so he went to India. And dude, shit got hectic over there.
Playing?
No, playing. Just for like a tour to visit.
Right.
And so like he went to Calcutta, which is a city in India. It is the most soccer crazy city in all of India. And they're obsessed with it.
Right.
So he goes over there. All of these people, dude, apparently the tickets were really expensive. They sacrificed like a month of their wage to buy tickets to this. They go in there. They couldn't see Messi at all because Messi was just surrounded by like VIP politicians and stuff. And he was just meeting them. And then he eventually just went. The crowd went absolutely insane. They started like breaking stuff. And anyways, it was insane. It was like crazy scenes that happened. Messi was traumatized.
Really?
Well,
because it was kind of like a riot.
They took it out pretty early. Well, I think the publics weren't pissed off at Messi. They were pissed off at their local politicians.
Why?
Because they're saying like, he was here to see people, and like all he did was take pictures with your kids.
Did
and he also charged us money for it.
So was it an event, or was it him just walking around?
Yeah, it was an event. It was an event.
In a stadium?
At a stadium, yeah.
Oh, and they just kicked off.
Yeah. And
well, what did they want? Like, what's he supposed to do? Like,
dude, one of the funny things was, it's crazy how religion is used in certain, so this politician, Messi's there, right? And he comes out and he's got his mic and he goes like, hello, this was by the time he had gone to Bombay. He's like, hello, Bombay. And the entire crowd goes, boo, because they hate this politician. I don't know the history for why they hate him, but like they hate him for some reason. So they go, boo. And then he freaks out. So then he goes like, what would be like Australian equivalent of, who loves Jesus?
Oh, sort
and
of
so
like.
So the whole crowd went, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the equivalent is like. who here's a fan of AC/DC?
Yeah, whatever. So he just made it really religious.
Oh, so he was like, how cool is Hinduism?
Yeah.
And then they went.
He went like he used a religious chant.
Oh, right.
Which you'd be like a really bad Muslim, a Hindu to not like reply to.
Right.
Which I thought was hilarious.
That is,
it was just a microcosm of how dodgy politicians can be. Just so blatantly using religion
Jesus
to avoid them getting booed.
It's insane. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
Messy. That's funny, man.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I thought I know we're talking about soccer and stuff, but like,
well,
what are we
yeah.
gonna do?
I mean, look, I think it seems to me that right now, from what I hear from people, is like, politicians are using this for political advantage, and people are talking, the fringe of whatever movement is using it to push their agenda. I think that's kind of, to a degree, inevitable. It's probably amplified in the internet. I obviously don't want to add to that. I have my own limited, my own grievances, but is it going to be beneficial now? I mean, I don't know.
I suppose
we can still talk about it.
Certain,
it's still
you can get into your grievances.
It's still very soon.
I can imagine what those grievances are as well.
Yeah.
But do you also think that
I'm still very upset, basically, but yeah.
Tragedy is a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people are using this strategy for political point scoring as well.
Yeah, but that's to be expected. But yeah. I'm not saying it's right.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you expect?
I know, but I didn't expect it to be that blatant.
When people have emotional reactions, politics is a very emotional thing, right? So, I haven't been on the internet, so I can't comment really, but I imagine that there's still death toll numbers there, as in there's people still in hospital and stuff, right?
Yeah, there's people in hospital.
I think, generally a good point of reference to these kind of things is calm, at least, and sort of kind of, I think we're still
healing.
Yeah. We're still in this sort of, it's still so fresh.
But it doesn't seem to me that a lot of people in those powerful quarters seem to care about that healing aspect. Yeah. It seems to me that
these things are too tantalizing for politicians to not use it for political statements, right? It's just too, it's the same way the media, I've seen some media reports and they just seem so, it seems like content for them, and it's I don't like that.
What are your grievances?
I mean, look, my natural reaction is I have grievances with the intelligence institutions and the police and the government to a degree. I'm not saying this is Yalbo's fault. I'm not saying that. I'm saying from I don't know the machinations of how to run ASIO or any of these organizations, but I think there's been a lot of evidence that's come forward that might have suggested that better precautions could have been taken with these exact individuals to prevent something like this, and the information was available to do that.
And it does, as more information comes out, it seems less and less about
I'm not saying I'm an expert.
No, and neither of us are, but it does. I might not agree necessarily with your conclusion, but mostly because I really don't know.
Well, I don't either. I don't want to be another person that's I don't know enough about it. It's just from what I've heard that they had traveled to the Philippines
for training purposes. True,
I mean, the younger one was known
and had ISIS links
and had links. And then it doesn't take a genius to also knowing that they had legal guns in their, they owned guns. It's like these don't seem like crazy assumptions to make that there's someone that should have been kind of neutralized prior, or at least questioned, or that kind of stuff. Like it happens a lot. I think there's a lot of these situations where there's a lot of people that are being monitored and are on lists and stuff, and they've still slipped through the cracks. And it's just frustrating, and I'm not saying it's Albo. I'm just saying, and also Albo isn't ASIO. I mean, like, they inform him on their findings, but I think it was a failure in intelligence personally. That's what it seems like to me. And I'm not an expert as well. I don't know all the details. So it's like, maybe, I don't know how many people are on lists. I don't know how you monitor that. So maybe they're not funded. I mean, I think they're funded significantly enough to be able to to act on those things. But I don't know the number of people that are involved in those situations, and like, maybe it's more difficult, or than I understand. But maybe not. Maybe it was just a lapse and sort of a careless overlook.
I mean, even if it was a careless overlook, that's still bad.
Yeah.
And should be rectified. Look, you're making a lot of good points.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I'm not saying that this is completely, but I would still wait.
No, I'm not. I don't want to.
This is me. I'm just saying this is what I think.
No, yeah.
Is that I would want to wait for the investigation. On the surface, you're right. There's a lot of red flags in this case.
Yeah.
And the fact that these red flags weren't unnoticed, were noticed as well. Whether an appropriate response was taken, maybe not. But like, I think this is going to be, you can't obviously put this one under the carpet. So everything is going to be known. There's going to be an investigation. And when that the outcome of those investigations come out, then I think we'll be in a much better position to blame. But like, again, I'm not saying this is like, oh, you don't know anything. I'm like, I'm not saying I have the same exact questions that you do.
I definitely, they're questions. That's all. And I think there's the issue. I think, you'd be ignorant to not say that there's issues with radicalization that, need to be dealt with somehow. I don't know how that is done, and I'm not an expert. So like, you don't need another another novice throwing out opinions that aren't. I think like, in the age of the internet, everyone thinks they're an expert. I don't want to add to the ignorant expert sort of, contingency of the internet, because everyone has an opinion, and like, we have a platform. So I don't think it's conducive to actually solving the issues, just throwing out
particularly
opinions,
there's like disinformation as well out there. There's a lot of disinformation.
It's just how it is in 2025.
And this is another example. This is it's too early, and I'm saying this after reading it on ABC today, which came out as an article, because I had a feeling that this was happening, but I wasn't too sure. This is another example of a third party exploiting a tragedy here for their own political point scoring. When this happened, and there was not a lot of information about who the identity of the shooter is, there was right-wing accounts from India that were pushing information that this guy is a Pakistani. And the fact of the matter is, he could have been, right? So at that point, it seems like very plausible. But like,
it's not helpful it's
not helpful because first of all, you don't know. You're spreading misinformation, and it ended up being misinformation because now we know the identity of the thing. And weirdly, it ended up being an Indian. I don't know how that happened, but it shouldn't really matter.
It shouldn't matter because,
but this was again, and this wasn't an attempt to create problems for Australia. This was their own political differences with Pakistan, right? So this is an issue that is foreign to us. We have no stake in India versus Pakistan. But because of their beef, they were certain accounts were using our tragedy for their own political purposes, and they didn't care about the effects that would have on Australian society.
Yes.
So it's just, I'm not saying necessarily, I'm not putting blame on individuals here. Where like I'm saying that because there's a lot of people that might genuinely feel that way and are saying something, even criticizing Albanese. I understand that, but I also am saying like there's a lot of people that are using this for their own interests with complete disregard to the effects of that.
Yeah, and also like certain elements that affect people's reactions to these things. There's multiple. There's like there is like blatantly nefarious, like political, sort of porn, porn playing and like manipulation, but also like anger. Just people's anger also creates. It's like human nature to want answers, and you kind of you need to channel the anger to something. It's like human nature, but I would imagine that those kind of things aren't helpful, even though it is a natural reaction,
and that was just one example. There's obviously other conspiracy theories and other things that were coming out from different quarters that everyone has their own agenda behind. So this was just one agenda that I'm talking about.
And everyone has their own biases. They want to,
complete refusal of facts where you're making stuff up.
I mean, I was also shown
as entertainment. That's the other aspect of it, which is sickening. And that this is entertainment for them.
Yeah, no, it's horrible. And also, like, I was shown a video from someone that was some random guy in America. I have no idea who he was, and this guy was showing me this whole theory this guy had that like it was a false flag and it was like planned by Israel, and here's all the and like he sort of showed it to me in this matter of fact way, and it's like,
who this person?
Sort of, yeah, and it's like. This is a random video on TikTok. Like you need to take this with a grain of salt, to say the least, and like to just be like, check this out. It's like, you should be free to look at whatever you want, but it's like, how are you going to check those some random guy in the internet is not, that can't be considered a solid source, and then it becomes difficult because people have their biases of the media. They're kind of choosing their own media, but it's like objective truth. It's not easy to find, but like entertaining any sort of theory that comes to mind is like, like you can't just blindly believe that stuff so early, because these things take time, and like. Yeah, I understand there's anger. I'm angry too, but like, like where to, it's almost a philosophical question, where to sort of direct that anger and rage is like, I don't like that. I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't know. Because people have a right to be angry, but like, I think maybe doing that too early can be dangerous.
Well, I think everyone is being suggested at the moment is to lay off of social media for a bit.
Well, when I saw that, it pissed me off because I'm just like, this isn't like, you just can't, there's rules with the internet. You can't just take videos as being verbatim.
Well, even particularly in such a tragedy, you can't take these videos because you never know. But we've spoken about this in general. Even without this kind of a context, you can't take video seriously anyway.
Especially in the age of AI.
Yeah, of course.
Like it's really hard.
It's like you need to do some like complex processing to figure out if this is AI or not.
And it's like our reptilian fucking brains are like not equipped to sort of synthesize all this information. It's just like we're not equipped for 2025 basically. So it's like, and I'm not saying that I'm immune to my own prejudices that I jump to, but I don't want to publicize them because I don't want to add to that, because like I think there's probably, from what you're saying anyway, there's enough of that, and like you know, I don't know. I think there is some responsibility to having a platform. If you're just like a random person, maybe less. But like, you know, I'll try to be more, you know, I don't know, like moral or something, conscientious.
Well,
I don't know.
Look, we're not peddling those conspiracy theories, so you don't have to feel too bad about that. But I think generally speaking, it wouldn't be terrible advice to just lay off of internet for a little bit.
I think that's probably
get a
good.
little detox.
My friend who I was just talking to my mate.
You know, we should make it a cultural thing that
it's cool.
Christmas or holiday season. It's not only a detox from your work, but it should also be a detox from like your social media and spend time with your family.
Like credit to my mate who he lives in Bondi, and he was telling me, because I just called him to see how it was going, and thankfully they were all fine. But his neighbors who he lives in like a very Jewish part of Bondi, and like his neighbors are Jewish, and he was telling me how like they were there at the event with their 1-year-old, and they were involved in it, and they were like, you know, hiding, I think, I don't know, behind a car or a bench or something while it was happening, the shooting was happening. And like, he was like, you know, I was kind of like venting and stuff, and he was kind of like, he said, I think the best thing to do is for you just to just stay off social media. I have been, because it's just like, I just don't know that it's helping. And like, if he can say that, I think at least out of respect of him being so close to it, it's kind of the least I can do, even though it's not my instinct, because I'm also like a human being, and I also want to like, you know, answers and like culpability, you know. But I don't know, maybe it's just as you get older, you get a little bit more, you maybe a bit wiser, where you try to be like, look, there's some wisdom in saying I don't know everything, I'm not an expert, and like there's probably enough speculation happening online.
But just as a general rule, obviously things are going to change. Certain things will have to change. And whatever those changes will be, we should make them with cool heads. And we should also...
It's just hard right now.
It's really hard, which is why, again, this isn't like... You can't fix whatever happened or whatever led to this overnight. So you'd have to have like a long-term strategy, and I think like it would just be, I know I'm living in fairyland, but it would be so good if we can all come together with a
well, that's what he was saying too.
With a new, whatever that new policy is, if we have a consensus towards it, it would be just the most amazing thing in the world.
Yeah, definitely.
Because what you don't want is for this tragedy to cause political instability. It's not good for anyone. It would be the worst outcome.
I think it will.
The absolute worst outcome would be that this tragedy leads us into a period of massive political instability where we end up like America.
When you say end up like America, do you just mean like divided more?
I just mean that we completely lose any room for bipartisanship.
Yes,
that we can
would be
agree on certain things collectively.
Hopefully,
give and take.
Yeah. Hopefully, you know, I can empathize with Albo, because, God, like it would be so difficult to. What do you do in a way? It's like, and I do worry that he will be tarnished with that. I don't know to what extent, but like extensively. And like, you know, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Is that wrong of me to?
No, you're not wrong. He's under a lot of pressure. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
No, but this perspective that I'm sort of talking about, like, would I be considered like cowardly or something for not
what?
For not just saying my potentially untrue opinions. I don't know.
Well, it's not cowardly. You're just being being careful. You don't want to. This is a tense time, so I completely understand why you may want to. There's a lot of things I want to stew about. Like you raised a lot of questions about the intelligence that, like, frankly, I think a lot of Australians are thinking of, and so am I. I'm not immune to it, but I'm just sort of suppressing that tendency of mine at the moment and being like, okay, we'll see. Let's see what happens. I still have faith in my countrymen to be able to figure out what went wrong and how we can avoid it next time.
Yeah, I think I'm just taking almost acting irrationally for me and taking the advice of people I respect to sort of be like, well, look, out of respect for you guys, I will sort of try to remain.
But I think to some extent, Albo has accepted certain level of intelligence. I mean, it would be ridiculous not to accept that this was an intelligence failure.
Yeah.
And I think he has accepted that there is some improvement. So there we go. Like, I think, I'm not saying obviously that's a problem, but like we should also judge him of how he acts now.
Yeah.
As opposed to just that one. I don't know. It's a very charged issue. I can completely understand how people are saying like, no, we need heads to roll and we need accountability.
Yeah, I'd like to extrapolate in the future more on stuff about. I mean, it is almost philosophical questions like how societies function, whether it's like intelligence or like the police force or immigration reform or whatever you want to talk, all these issues. But I think that they're like. I think that it'd be cool to talk to people that are experts on it and have their opinions. And like, it's kind of like you need like one of those subjects per pod in a way. I don't like this idea. I don't like this thing of the internet, how it's like 20-second clips on this opinion, because you can't get to anything substantive. You can't really get deep on a subject without spending, I mean, really, there's a reason why doctors, it's 10 years plus, it's not to just waste their money and time. It's like to try to understand, it's like trying to be the opposite of superficial with like obtaining that information. So like, I don't want to add to more like clickbaity. We're not in the business of, at least here, we're not beholden to anyone, and we're not in the business of like clickbait. To an extent, like keep watching.
How can you be beholden when there are no commercial interests?
Yeah. But like I'm not saying it's probably worse for the views for me not to just be like, fired up.
Well, the main problem is that the problem is that this new media ecosystem. You know what it incentivizes us to do is the opposite of what we're doing. It incentivizes us to go deep into conspiracy theory, ascertain which one is going to be the most popular, go hard at it, and create like this fringe movement. Yeah. It's so unfortunate that is your success model.
I know,
on the internet.
Yeah.
And, people always say like, oh, we want to hear rounded conversations. We don't care about this fringe stuff. But if you look at the sheer numbers of internet, most people get gravitated towards that.
Yeah, because it's the human instinct. Again, it's just like we're emotional beings and we want emotional reactions. But I think like, and I have those, but I think that it's, there's probably,
but it's also like
probably enough of
signing
that.
A deal with the devil when you do that.
Exactly.
The deal is, I have no morals anymore.
Exactly.
I am in this game. Like greed is good.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take it right to the end.
Yeah.
And it rewards it so much that like now the biggest people on the internet are people that peddle those kinds of.
Yeah. I care. I'm just upset and saddened. And it's like, I don't know how to, I'm not like we're not trained to do this either. We're just like random people basically. So it's like I'm just trying to like
not get canceled. Is that what's happening here?
Not really.
Hey, come on. You have certain leeway. I am at 12 demerit points. Do you understand?
Why? Yeah.
Because one
There's
offense,
certain ticks.
I lose my license.
Yeah. How many have I got?
Because
I don't know.
have the full licenses here. You see, at the immigration counter, they gave me the green piece for life. So I have very little wiggle room. You, on the other hand, are at 0, I'm guessing right now. So you can build a few demerit points.
I think we both have equal tally of like, I suppose, conscientiousness and respect or something. I'm not saying that like, I'm not trying to do it in a way of like, I'm better than blah, 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 or I have, I think I'm still in the, I think I honestly still am processing it all.
I thought you were gonna say I'm still
pro
slavery.
No, I'm still processing it, and like, yeah, I suppose that's where I stand. Did you see Jordan did a video?
Yeah, I saw the video that Jordan did. Jordan, again, dude. Jordan has I was actually telling Jordan this today and yesterday that he was encouraging us to do the pod, and I was saying, like, Jordan, I don't know what to say exactly, and he was like, just say what you're feeling. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And I was like, oh. And then he was like, just do it. And I was like, dude, I don't have your balls. Okay. Like, straight up. Like, I'm too, anyway. So, like,
well, look, his video was, you know, it wasn't pulling punches either. It was
no,
just,
it wasn't. But he was like, you know, it's just that sometimes when the climate is too intense, it's better to like just,
I mean, and I also, in my brash youthness, I would have, you know, you analyze the information you have and you make your assumptions, right? Mm-hmm. But even on the topic of like let's say one tiny subsect of one of the conversations, right, was like, and which Jordan mentioned, you know, Jordan was like, Albo has been criticized for being, for stewing anti-Semitism, when if you look at his policies, he's been the most strong on anti-Semitism. And then you watch something else and it was like, Albo was the weakest in anti-Semitism. And even in that, that tiny little talking point, how do you even analyze that?
Well, so I don't know. I'm not going to get into that one now because,
but you know what I'm saying?
I'm studying it still.
Like,
but I went through the report that is being suggested, the Siegel report, which is the recommendations for anti-Semitism. I went through that, some of the references of definition. But I'm not ready to talk about it just as yet.
Sure, yeah.
Because, but I will say this one thing, and I want to make this.
Because he was the only person that I heard say
that
he was
report
like
in general.
Yeah.
Is very reasonable.
What do you mean, the report in terms of
the measures that need to be taken for anti-Semitism?
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's most of it is extremely, extremely reasonable. But anyways, I'll talk about that when I'm ready.
Sure, and I think it's still too early. But like, and some people might just say, "Oh, I'm a fucking coward," but that's fine. That's your opinion. But like, you know, even on that note, like Jordan saying, he didn't like, I think he mentioned it, he didn't go deeply into it, but he was like, he's actually been the strongest in anti-Semitism. I mean, purely from a metrics point, optics point of view, he's the only person I've even heard say that. All I've seen is that he's weak on, I saw John Howard, I didn't watch the interview, but he was like, Howard is saying like, he hasn't been strong on anti-Semitism. So it's like, even hearing that opinion, I was like, I didn't even know that was an opinion.
That's what I'm saying. Like he has
that he's been very strong on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. And I would say that you could argue that there's some credibility to that.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I don't know.
Let him speak on that one at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you know, like I think I will say I think it's a stretch to say that because Australia recognized Palestine, that is a form of anti-Semitism. It's like, well, that's a stretch, I think. So it's like, you know, I don't know. I think, there's
convoluted.
There's so many issues, and like, I have my opinions, but I don't know. I would, you know, it's kind of what it's been like me being on this pod for so long. It's like, going deep into a conversation and having someone like Jordan who has the numbers.
Yeah, I actually want him back. I'm like so ready for him to come back.
Yeah, I think someone, because he's very good, and you are too. But I think, like you said, he's pretty like analytical and sort of, what's the word?
Unemotional.
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 Yeah, and I'm the opposite of that. So it's kind of like to have someone with like hard numbers, like literally something like, you know, even when any political issue, right? You talk about like employment or something, and then people will have their talking points, but then he'll just bust out like the numbers of employment during the libs, and then
I just want to know
during labor, and it's like, well, that shit is kind of, it's not sexy, but it really is truth because it's like they're numbers. Unless you think the fucking Bureau of Statistics are fudging numbers, which is, yeah, possible. But like, I think that they would lose their jobs, and I doubt it. So it's like that kind of perspective I think I need before I start like shooting off at the hip.
You're not getting that from me, at least on camera at the moment. You will eventually, but not right now.
Yeah, it's very yeah, it's like, I think it's almost like with these things you want to try to go deep, and I haven't had the time, frankly, to do it.
It's probably for the best that you haven't had time. I think like,
but I feel like
give it a little bit of a time before.
Part of me does feel like I'm not doing my due diligence in a way where it's like if I'm going to have a platform, I should be an expert in all of these topics. But it's like, man, I gotta like work and shit and trying to mix my album. But like, so it's hard. But you know, I think we'll leave the comment section open in this one. So we'll
leave the comment section. I know there's gonna be like a lot of whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
but
it
like
is what it is.
I think our like fans that watch this are generally pretty.
It's always like a tiny minority.
Yeah, but
that just makes the whole thing toxic.
Yeah, but
it's like because it's not even that you can't say whatever you want. You can advocate for literally any position, but I don't know, man. Like sometimes you can like say it in a way that's just prejudiced and like I don't know. I still won't take off the comment, but like it's I don't know if it's I wouldn't want it. Honestly.
No, yeah, I think like look, you know, at some point, I think it was fair to. It was a good idea to not have initially to it's like way too soon, but like conversations can start being had, but it's going to be like a long road, and I think from next pod onwards, we'll talk about like other segments again as well. I think that's probably like
what's required, honestly, because like for how long are we going to? It's just so heavy, and it's so close that it'll just be like always kind of a downer. So I think we should talk about other stuff as well eventually.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would like to know people's
the Venezuela one. Did you hear about that? We finally found out what exactly Trump's strategy is with Venezuela.
I assume it's all positive and the right move.
It's all positive.
Yeah,
so Trump's actually, this is an insane development. It's going to go unnoticed, but like for the context, Trump's chief of staff, so Trump's campaign manager who won him the election, she became his chief of staff.
Yeah.
Chief of staff is a very, very important position.
Yeah.
So it's essentially like the president's chief of staff will be responsible for most of the executive things that the president does.
Right.
And so it's actually a really powerful position. So if you really want something in the president's ear...
Is that like Rubio or something?
No, it was this lady. I forgot her name. She was his campaign manager as well. She just randomly, out of nowhere, did an interview with, I want to say Vanity Fair, where she has done an expose on the whole Trump thing. And I'm guessing she's about to be fired, or she's probably had some issue, which is why this has come out.
Right, yeah.
But she said a lot of things. And this is one of the most intimate persons in the administration. Right. So that's why I think it's important, but it will go unnoticed because she would know all the inner workings. And so she made a few observations. One observation was that Elon is a drug addict. Like he is constantly on ketamine, is making weird decisions. Everyone knows it, but can't do anything about it. She also said that like all of Trump's cases are point scoring, where he's going after them for retribution. But one of the things that she said was that Trump's game plan in Venezuela is for Maduro to resign.
Right.
So she was saying that, and Trump today basically has put an embargo. So any oil tanker. My idea was that he is doing this as a regime change thing, which I guess because America doesn't want to deal with the after effects of regime change, because then you need nation building, and we know that doesn't work out nearly as well as you expect it to. So they don't want to do that, but they also want Maduro to go out.
Right.
And I think it's because their previous negotiations with Maduro, whatever they asked him to, he hasn't delivered, and now they're like, you gone.
Right.
And so what they're really doing is making his life miserable and telling everyone in Venezuela that if you want us to stop, so we're not necessarily like invading you. I mean, they're always threatening that we will if we have to. But the idea is like your life is going to be absolutely miserable unless this guy resigns and you pick an American-friendly candidate that we handpick.
Soft power.
Yeah. And so like until that happens, this pressure will stay on, which is why Maduro is like doing peace. What he's saying is like, give me another chance. I can actually be like subservient to the U.S.
Right.
And the whole idea is like U.S. is like, nah, too late. Gone. You're gone. Get someone else and we'll talk to him.
Really?
Yeah.
So, but that still just sounds like a stalemate.
It's a stalemate. I mean, the whole thing is like whether it will be effective or not. Like, I mean, can you build the pressure to a point where Maduro resigns and someone else comes in, or there's a coup and they get rid of Maduro? It's on the surface, it seems very obvious. Like, can you imagine if, God forbid, for Australia, if like another country was putting immense pressure on us, was completely blockading our economy, and was saying like, unless you get rid of Albo, we're not going to change this, right? And when we look at this, we go like, well, I mean, that's a small sacrifice. I mean, we get rid of prime ministers all the time anyways.
Yeah.
You know, we'll get another one. But in a dictatorship like Venezuela, it's not just that this particular person who is the head doesn't want to leave. Everyone below them have also come up with a consensus that this guy is going to lead. So if that guy goes and someone else comes in, then there's going to be infighting. So what I'm saying is the calculus that America is making that Maduro will have to resign may work, but may not work. It depends on whoever is supposed to replace Maduro. What their calculus is what will happen after Maduro gets out. Because it's easy to take out Maduro and then come in, but it would be really hard to maintain that. Yeah. So you could still go through like a terrible, vacuum and then power crisis. And so maybe the elite that is making these decisions, maybe they come up with the calculus that like, if we get rid of him, it will create worse situation than what we have at the moment. So like it could go either way. So I'm still saying it's a risky strategy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it seems like it seems like he's sort of just like, is he still bombing boats and stuff?
Yeah, he is. He's ramping up the pressure. I think he wants to. He's taken up to the pressure is almost just below the threshold of an invasion. Jesus. So he's taking it as far as he can. And again, he's building pressure for Maduro to resign or for a coup to take out Maduro.
Right. And what are the people, does he still have, because you were telling me that he doesn't have that much support from the people, because I remember you mentioned like what do you call it? The oil reserves, even though they have heaps of them, they're not exactly recycled back into the society. Like it's hard to gain wealth from that and to recycle it into society, so that he's not very popular even still.
I mean, so it doesn't matter if he is popular or not, because Venezuela has we've gone through this, but like Venezuela has a weird energy history where like essentially during the Hugo Chavez era, so post 2000s, their entire economy was oil. So the government was only getting money from these rent that they were getting from the oil companies, right? So there was no taxation that was giving you money. It was literally just oil. Yeah. And so then what happened is like you cease to be a democracy, because it doesn't matter what your people think, because your power isn't coming from people. It's coming from this rent-seeking thing.
So it's not like nationalizing oil.
Yeah. So the dynamics are a little bit different. But the interesting thing, and I think this is an aspect that you would find interesting, and maybe if the people don't know this, then this would be an illuminating one. So we all know that Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world, the largest proven oil reserves in the world. We also know that America has a lot of oil, and America's oil production has skyrocketed. So there's this confusion amongst people. It's like, why is America interested in oil when it has oil? Right? When it has so much oil. And it is the highest producing oil country in the world now. It's exporting more oil than any other country in the world, like more than Saudi Arabia. So then, I mean, if you have a lot of oil, why are you invading, creating so much problem? One of the aspects is, we've discussed the geopolitical aspect of it, but one of the oil aspect of it is that, so there's about roughly 3 types of oil. There's light oil, there's like medium crude oil.
It's like olive oil.
Yeah. And then there's sludge heavy oil, right? What Venezuela has is sludge heavy oil, right? Which is why they find it difficult
to
find markets because it requires a lot of refining before it can eventually go into cars.
Yep.
However, the conundrum that the US faces is most of their oil comes from shale, which is the fracking aspect of it. What that does is it produces light oil, which a lot of countries use in the world, which is why America is exporting so much. But America's entire refinery system is based on sludge oil.
Right.
The reason why it's based on sludge oil is because most of the oil came from California initially, and then eventually Saudi Arabia, which also produces sludge oil to a large extent. So all your refineries are not equipped to handle light fracking oil, which is why, on one hand, America exports the most amount of oil in the world, but also imports the most amount of oil in the world. So they're producing light oil, which they cannot use. They're exporting it to other countries that use it, and they're importing sludge crude oil so that their refineries can process it and use it.
Right.
Now, the obvious question then becomes, well, why doesn't America switch to light when they have infinite resources of it? It would make sense. It does make sense, and they understand that as well. But the problem is, you cannot do this overnight. And in fact, you cannot even do this in a couple of years. It takes decades to transform your refinery from one thing to another. Right. So whatever America's current situation is, that they're going to need sludge for the foreseeable future. How do I secure sludge oil that I do not have?
Right.
Venezuela has the largest sludge oil deposits
So
in the world.
it is just oil though, really.
That's a big aspect of it as well.
Did you see Jon Stewart did a thing comparing the sort of model of what's happening in Venezuela to Iraq in like back in the day? Did you see that? And like it was pretty crazy. It was like the same language was being used, the same rhetoric being used, the same like characters coming out and being like, this is about freedom. It's not about oil. And it was like word for word what was being said in like Iraq. And it was like pretty undeniable, you know, the model of what do you take in that?
No, it was quite illuminating. I mean, it's the same exact template.
It's the same.
Ironically, it's the same people as well.
Same people, same template. And like, I don't know how it's justified by like Trump to be like, no, this is different. It's like, it's like that, because I think one point he was saying was like, back then they would be like, this has got nothing to do with oil. The only difference now is they're just like, they have a lot of oil. We can use this oil. So it's like they're saying the quiet part loud and the loud part quiet. And it's like even more obvious. And it's like, I guess the political climate's changed now where people just don't care. They're just kind of like, yeah, or the government at least doesn't care. They're like, whatever, like this is the reality.
Oil is only part of the story though. I've explained the story, and obviously oil matters a lot, but there's
corn,
a whole host of
sweet
geopolitical interests that are playing around in this. And I think
China
primarily, I mean, one of the aspects is America wants to control Western Hemisphere resources, but also like, yes, the China influence and Russian influence in the Western Hemisphere. They're telling essentially all of countries in their hemisphere that like, you cannot leverage where like you're going to try and please us and try and please the Chinese or the Russians. Their argument is, you're in our backyard and you don't have any option. And I honestly think the Chinese and the Russians know that. And honestly, they don't want to provoke them to a point where like, so they are almost using these countries like Venezuela or Cuba as leverage. Where they say like, if you do this for us, okay, fine. We'll stop. We'll reduce our economic interests on like the Panama Canal, whatever. I think they use this as like a leverage on the U.S. So they're not really interested in Venezuelan or Cuban liberation, is what I'm trying to argue. They couldn't care less. In fact, they're completely aware that they can never really mess around in that neighborhood. They're not suicidal. But they still want to have that facade just so that they can use as leverage against America. And Venezuela, unfortunately, I'm going to say this, is dumb enough to think that they can be so close to a global superpower and play this game. Like,
would the Democrats have done this?
Perhaps not. It really depends. It really depends on like who, what, because you can argue that many Democrat administrations have been pretty like interventionist as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like what, Afghanistan? I mean, there were still wars and stuff.
Yeah, so I think but there would obviously be way less of a chance.
Yeah, it seems like I think you've talked about it, but it's like the world is more polarized now, where it's like areas of influence. Where it's like, this is our slice of the pie.
I have been saying this for a while. Like these big, great powers, whether you like it or not, are dividing up the world amongst them.
Yeah.
And there's 3 countries that are doing it.
Yeah.
America, China, and Russia.
Yeah.
And everyone else, every other country is on the chopping board that is being carved up into spheres of influence.
And do you think
it was triggered by the Ukraine war?
Yeah.
But now it's like generally accepted.
Do you think America are doing it as it's a reactionary thing, like to Ukraine? Like was it inevitable, this kind of weird polarized world, or not really?
I suppose like certain realists would argue it was inevitable when you have like a singular superpower either declining or influence or staying or growing at a slower pace, and then there's other ones catching up.
So that's what happens.
Some people would argue that this is what happens. It's obvious.
Yeah.
But that's that's the world that we're in. So like we have to sort of adapt to that world.
Because I'm just thinking to like alternate reality. If like the Democrats were in the whole time, do you think they'd still kind of they'd still be trying to hold on to this ideal of like, where the light on the hill, bastion of peace, or whatever, like remaining kind of insular, and then kind of just trying to pressure Russia to like basically telling everyone to cool off? Mm-hmm. Would that be what would happen, or would it? Like I'm saying, would America start acting like that way no matter who was in, or no? Do you know what I mean?
I believe they would have acted like that no matter who was in. Because I think the way they would have done it might have been different. But these are long-term trends. Yeah.
So it's kind of, again, a reaction to like China growing and Russia, right? But Russia's not, they say that China's like growing massively. Russia's not, right?
No. Russia isn't an economic powerhouse like the China or the US is, but it is a military powerhouse.
It's still a big doll.
Yeah. Though. And it also has this like amazing, sheer luck, but they are very self-sustainable. Yeah. So there is very little that you can do to collapse Russia.
Yeah.
They have all the resources they need. They have a big enough market, over 100 million people to sustain it. They're cursed in some ways, and then they're better off in others. And then the thing is, like, climate change will be really good to Russia because it will completely open up the Arctic for them.
Shit.
And so then, like, it will essentially make them way more powerful, which is why Trump's trying to acquire Greenland. There's a whole fight happening in that area as well.
Jesus. Yeah. But Russia's quite chummy with China, hey?
Yeah, at the moment, yes, they're very chummy
because
they have similar outlooks of how they want the world to be.
Because Russia hates America much more than China, for instance.
Russia hates America more than China. I don't think either of them hate America.
Really?
I don't know. That's not how I would put it. They have certain interests that contradict, and so they get antagonistic. But I don't think, and for that matter, I honestly don't think America hates China and Russia instinctively either. I mean, these are just like
it's just
state
power.
plays, At the moment, Chinese and Russian interests have aligned. They both have a leader that, first of all, has been consistently their leader for some time, Putin and Xi. And they have a similar outlook to how they want the future to be.
Yeah.
And so they're working closely on that. But that's, again, not to say that will be the case forever.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny if for no reason some like mad outlier country came up as like number one? It's like, and a sweeping surprise, Nepal's running the world now.
That does happen. It's rare, but it does happen.
Really?
For example, England was one of those countries. Came out of nowhere and grew like,
Empire,
proper Mamdani like character England was, So sometimes that happens. It usually is prompted by like some next level technology advancement.
Was it the Industrial Revolution that did
it was the Industrial Revolution
and
in
ships.
Case, but it's also ships.
Yeah.
To be fair, ships was like Portugal was doing it, Spain was doing it, the Netherlands was doing it.
Yeah, the Dutch.
And then the English actually got into the
Portuguese.
game late.
Really?
Yeah, because like here's an interesting.
You know the Dutch found Australia first.
Yes, and I think Sydney was called New Amsterdam, or Australia, sorry, was called New Amsterdam.
Yeah, but they landed in WA. That's why Rottnest Island, it just means Rat Island because there's little quokkas and it's crazy because they landed I think in Perth and were just like, I think they were like, this isn't good. No, they were looking for spices or something. They're like, there's no cinnamon here, and then like.
But do you know, like, this is an interesting tidbit.
Yeah.
That you know how the English Empire or the British Empire essentially started from piracy.
Really?
So Portuguese
DVDs, eh?
Yeah, DVD. So the Portuguese in
Freaky
Spain
Friday. Yeah.
they were like so they had discovered the Americas with Columbus and everything.
Yeah.
So there was a battle going on between Spain and Portugal about who gets what or whatever. Anyways, they came up with this agreement between Spain and Portugal where they divided somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. They drew an imaginary line and said anything west of this line is Spanish territory and anything east of this line is Portuguese territory.
Right.
So in this imaginary line, literally everything in the Americas was on the Spanish side except for a tip of Brazil, which was on the Portuguese side, which, by the way, the Spanish didn't even know at the time that it fits into the Portuguese side. The idea that Portuguese had at the time wasn't to colonize Americas. They wanted to like somehow colonize Africa and Asia. Little did they know that they're too weak and they're not going to be able to do it.
Right.
But they got Brazil.
Okay.
Anyways, so then both these particularly Spain, they started getting very, very rich from this trade. And the British, again, very early days of the British, they were like steal their ships. So all of the stuff that they're bringing from the Americas to their country, just steal it.
What?
And also both England and France decided we're not going to be a party to this agreement that Spain and Portugal had decided.
Right.
And so England would just steal the ships and then eventually got so good at that they were like, we'll just do it ourselves. And then they started discovering
Is that how they
the
did
Americas.
it?
Yeah.
Piracy, what?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think it was Queen Elizabeth I who made it official policy that you can, just steal those ships.
Really?
We don't recognize a Spanish sovereignty or anything.
That's crazy because does that means that if they had not have done that, America would be all Spanish?
If America had not done
Sorry.
yes,
if the English
had not done that,
America would be all Spanish.
Because America was...
Not that you could tell the difference today.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
Well, so half of America was actually Spanish. So all of what is California, Texas, this was all Spanish.
Yeah. And they had wars over it, right?
Yeah. They had, in some cases, they had wars. In some cases, America just bought the land from Spain. In some cases... There was about to be a war.
Was that before like 1776 or whatever?
At different stages.
Right.
Different it got added. So like throughout their history, they kept like expanding.
Right.
And took them. So Spain was supposed to have all of that. And the English basically got they landed in the Boston, Virginia area. In fact, the Virginia is called Virginia because of Queen Elizabeth. Because she was a virgin. She was called the Virgin Queen.
That's crazy.
Because she had said that she'll never take on a husband.
Wow. That's why it's called Virginia.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
And because people don't realize a lot of the East Coast of America, it's like New England. It's called New England. And then like all of those like, they were New Jersey. I mean, Jersey's in England. Mm-hmm. It's an island. It's part of England and it's crazy. And then somehow... Boston just got claimed by the Irish, but that was way after. I think that all the Irish immigrants, because the point from Ireland to America, the closest is Boston.
Yeah.
So they were just like they just land there and be like, this is all right. We'll stay here.
Everyone took different routes. The French went to Quebec. Actually, initially they went to the other, but it was again too cold and unhospitable environment. They eventually landed in Quebec. The English were in the Boston area. Spanish initially landed in the Caribbean and then slowly took over Mexico, which was I think the Aztec capital.
Yeah.
And then they moved upwards towards
the conquistadors.
Yeah. So what we would consider the South in America was mostly Spanish.
That's crazy. But with Canada, I know that there was a French. They still speak French in like Quebec and stuff. But like, wasn't Canada really founded by the Scots? There's a lot of Scottish influence, dude. Like,
I'm sure there
Nova
would be, but,
Scotia is New Scotland.
The ruling entity was French over there.
There's a huge contingency of Scots. Nova Scotia.
Yeah, people would have come over, you know, and settled there.
Yeah.
But like,
I think that was the main. I'll have to look into it. Maybe who the hell knows? I don't know how that happened, but it's crazy thinking about that, isn't it? It's like, it's crazy.
Crazy time. Anyways, I think we're out of time.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit of a deviation.
That was a deviation.
Good.
It was a weird pod.
It was a weird pod.
Like, I don't know.
It's going to be weird for a bit.
It's going to be weird.
I think we need the clinical Geordies back to be like, here's the facts.
Yeah, I know.
And then when I say something about like migration, be like, well, here's the facts. And be like, just let me say my crazy shit.
Yeah,
but
he's going to be here soon.
Yeah. Let us know. I guess let us know your opinion. Why not?
I'm probably not going to look. I haven't been looking. Honestly, like these days, I'm not looking.
Really? Well, look, thanks for joining us either way. Hopefully we've been entertaining. And again, let's all stay safe, my friends. And we'll see you pretty bloody
Next
soon.
time.
Yeah.